Hello, I'm here with Esai, and we are going to be talking about her career as a jazz singer, a drag artist, an actress, etc., and about her one-woman show that's coming up in July. Thank you, Esai, for being here. Would you like to share just like a little bit about yourself?
Thank you so much for having me. I, my name is Esai. I'm 17 years old, and I am a young jazz artist slash drag performer in Pittsburgh, and I am an out and proud trans girl, almost woman. Uh, so yeah, I am super excited to be sharing my work and my art and share it with you, to anybody uh, who might want to hear. You know, I'm always willing to share my voice, and I love to sing, and I love to be wherever I can to support anyone.
So the title of your show is Translation: One Trans Woman's Experience. So I'm wondering where the inspiration for the title and for the content, where that came from.
So I started writing the show about a year ago, or a year and a half ago. It was I started writing it in the middle of like my junior year of high school. And it first was a short little play or short film that I had. And then I was talking to my mom about it, and she was like, well, I think you should turn it into like a, a show that we could put on.
Hmm.
And I thought that was a really cool idea. And for a long time, I didn't know what the title was going to be. And I really wanted a title that was going to grab people's attention and be like a hook for people. And so I thought of course, the word trans or transgender, which I am. And I wanted to share my voice and share my story in my own way. So I thought of, I was in school when I um, came up with the title. And so it just clicked. It was like translation with just, with the trans being capitalized at
Hmm.
the forefront of the message.
I love that.
Thank you.
And yeah. So speaking of school, I saw that you recently graduated from high school.
Yeah, I did.
Um, yeah, so what have you thought about, like what's next for you after graduation and still how you can be fostering and cultivating your art outside of your high school career?
Oh yeah. So I plan to go to beauty school here in Pittsburgh, and I'm super excited because I really want to. Because a lot of people have asked me like, what field do I want to go into with beauty school, which I think I'm looking at so many different fields, and so I feel like beauty school and doing everything will really help me understand that what what I really like to do doing most. I'm also working with um, an amazing jazz mentor slash artist in Pittsburgh. Her name is Miss Fat Mandy, and she actually just put out her studio album called A Thousand Miles, which I'm so honored that I got to work on be on a song with her. And so I'm working with her and singing jazz, and just singing whenever I can. So yeah, that's pretty much what's next is beauty school and constantly getting to sing jazz and do that sort of thing. So yeah.
That's awesome. I'm so excited for you.
Thank
Um,
you.
you're welcome. And so for you, is beauty school another way of being creative and artistic?
Yeah, I've always loved working hands-on, especially because as a drag artist, you're always creating things, you're always styling wigs, you're always doing makeup, you're always because a lot of so many drag queens and kings and all and drag artists of all kinds do their own hair, do their own nails, do um their own costumes, do just based on their art. And so really want to dive in um to the beauty side so I have more of a grasp of that. um so I can be able to do my own hair, I can be able to do all of that, and accomplish these sort of things for my career. So
Yeah. And so it sounds like it's like a tool for you to not only express
right,
yourself but also to learn like how to like deepen your craft.
right. Yeah, because
I,
I've always wanted to work with that sort of situation, that sort of thing, because I feel like I've always tried to go about doing that sort of thing, doing that because I've seen all so many other drag artists do it, and
Mhm.
I I just want to go deeper into that route. So yeah.
And so, Isai, when do you think you started to consider yourself an artist, and what was that experience like for you?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say I really I knew that I was like an artist, but I didn't like consider myself an artist until about um in quarantine, the beginning of quarantine of 2020. Because that's when we were in quarantine, there was not a lot to do, so I thought that I could just art because was all that I could do because I wasn't school was a very weird thing at that time. Um, and art was basically all that I was focusing on at that time because I didn't have a lot else to do. So I just kept going with that.
Yeah, I definitely think that 2020 was a changing point for so many of us. So I think it definitely makes sense that that was your time where you could really hone in and look inward. I think that makes total sense. And um, so I guess what has changed for you now that you identify as an artist?
Um, I used to before I identified as an artist, I didn't think of it as a, a career sort of influencing um idea. I just thought of what I did as like doing drag and just singing as just something that I did. But now it's just what I want to base what I do on, everything that I do on. It's what keeps me going now, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, so on that vein, like what inspires you to create?
Just the queer community around people in the queer community around me, other jazz artists, um, music that I listen to because my show translation, one of the messages is like it's basically about how music that I've embraced myself in and that I've also listened to, how it has helped me become who I am today. So music has had a huge element in really helping me understand who I am.
Hmm.
And I feel like a lot of other people can say that as well.
Yeah. Do you have any particular jazz artists or other musicians that you who influence your work or that you really look up to?
Oh yeah. Sarah Vaughan. I love, 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 love Sarah. I love Sarah Vaughan. Um, I love there's a jazz artist, her name is Sophie Millman, and I've been listening to a lot of her. Pink Martini is a French jazz band who I absolutely love. Um, Ella Fitzgerald, of course. And basically all the fab queens who have really influenced jazz as a genre as a whole. I love Nina Simone. She's amazing. So yeah, and also of course my jazz mentor, Fat Man D, and also my grandpa Don Aliquo is also a jazz saxophonist, and so I get to sing with him from time to time, and that's one of the best things I've ever done is being able to sing with him. So yeah,
Mm, that's beautiful.
thank you.
Is your grandfather one of the ways that you got introduced to jazz?
He's actually that's funny you asked that. He's actually the main way that I've gotten into jazz is him and Fat Man D. Uh I remember my first jazz show ever was at the Carnegie Stage in Carnegie, PA, and it was a Billy Strayhorn tribute show, and I sang a song called "A Flower Is a Love Something," which I love to this day, um, and I always love to sing. And that's pretty much how I got my foot in the door is with singing that song with other jazz musicians um, at that performance. And I didn't know that that was gonna be where I was gonna head in in 2021 when that happened, which was 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago actually. Um, and I didn't know that that was where I was gonna go. And that summer, I thought, well, maybe I should start singing jazz. I think this is very suitable for me and my voice. So yeah, that's my grandpa and Mandy were was were my biggest influences for getting into jazz.
How about supporters? Like, who are some of your biggest supporters?
Oh my goodness. Of course, my parents, my mom and my dad, um, my grandpa, um, Mandy, my best friends, Veda, Ross, Helen. Yeah, so my people that I love, and people especially in my mom's burlesque troupe, the Velvet Hearts. I love them. They are huge supporters of me, and I'm huge supporters of them. So basically, so much of the queer community in Pittsburgh and Columbus, Ohio, because I was born in Columbus, Ohio, but I moved here maybe almost 10 years ago. So yeah, those are my biggest supporters, who I love as well, and I'm so grateful that they are in my life.
Yeah, I think it's amazing that a lot of the people that you named are your family members. I think that's really special.
Family is always really important, even if it's your chosen family. Chosen family is really, really, really important.
Mhm. Oh, here's a good question. It's on the other page. So how would you say that you have grown as an artist?
Oh yeah, I think my transition has really, really helped me grow as an artist, because before my transition, I would only focus on like the drag part and like lip syncing, and that's all great because I still love to do that. But now I've transitioned and really started to understand myself even more. I feel like singing has really taken a turn on my creative style and also my drag as well. Because when I'm doing drag now, I always do it. I always sing, and I don't honestly. I don't remember the last time I've like lip synced. I think it was like maybe a couple months ago. But now that I sing, that's the only thing I really do when I'm doing drag. So I feel like that's really influenced my change as an artist, and it doesn't stop from there. I want to keep going and going and going, and singing. I will always be singing because it's just what I love to do.
I remember you saying in one of your videos talking about the show translation is that it was really about an experience of liberation. And what you just said about your transition helping you grow as an artist really reminded me of what you said regarding liberation. So I'm just wondering if you could share a little bit more about what liberation means to you, particularly when it comes to queer and trans folks.
Liberation means being free of all of the negativity that people have put the weight down on you, especially because there's so much um, hate towards the LGBTQ community today with all the drag bans and the don't say gay bills, all of that sort of situation. It's understanding that even though that is going on, you keep going and you keep being yourself and you keep making art and making music, and you're constantly in the headspace of we need to stick to our community and we need to support our community and be there for one another.
Yeah, so it sounds like the LGBTQ plus community here in Pittsburgh, as well as elsewhere, and your family are really inspiring you and are part of your liberation. Would you say that?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, because I feel like if it weren't for them, I wouldn't. I would. There would be still sort of a block.
Thank you for sharing that. And I'm curious, because you talked about, like in the video, about bringing to light some of the trans issues that
Yeah,
folks face, particularly young people. And so I'm
yeah,
just wondering if you could talk about why that is so important as a young trans person yourself.
yeah. I because in especially in schools in high school, um, especially because I went to Kappa downtown, and that's a really open-minded school. It's very straightforward with the LGBTQ community because so many people are LGBTQ there and want to come there to focus on their art. And I noticed that when students would come out, or that when I came out as trans, um, people would just tolerate it. People would just say, "Okay, well, then you're done. That's it." And if you talk about your trans issues, then why should we have to listen when we already support you in general? And I think it's really important that as the youth, we listen to one another with um, just general trans issues that we have, whether it be um, not feeling like ourselves, misgendering, and also just good things like feeling good about ourselves. Because I noticed that when I was or another trans person was feeling good about themselves, people wouldn't notice or people would just ignore it instead of lift them up. So I've just found that in being in school, or just in places of the youth, I and a lot of other trans people weren't um, listened to. Um, even in a place of acceptance. And it's really important to focus on that, and because it makes all of us feel seen, and it makes us feel like we're in a safe environment, and to know that we're in a safe environment as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Um, and I wanted to highlight the piece that you talked about when it came to like the good things and like the joy. And I remember when we had the mentorship meeting at Dreams of Hope that
Yeah.
you brought up queer joy and how important queer joy is, and how so many stories um, of queerness have to do with the difficulties of being queer. And especially in mainstream media, a lot of it is the attacks that have been going against queer and trans people. Um, and Dreams of Hope has really, really been thinking about queer joy ever since you said that. And so, one, this is a thank you for bringing that up then, and a thank you for bringing this up now. And I just wanted to invite you to share anything else that you wanted to share about queer joy. What does it mean to you? What are some examples of queer joy in your own life? And just um, invite you to share.
That means so much to me. I'm so glad that you're that this is what's going on. um, queer joy, queer joy is so important, especially
Mhm.
right now with everything that is happening in the world, and all the negativity from government leaders, and just even more simple things as like transphobia in the media and online. And it's important that we not focus on not always focus on the hardships that we face, and that's really important, but also get to the point where um we as trans people, we are happy with ourselves, and we are happy about life um as trans people. So it's really, really, really important. Queer joy is such such a beautiful thing, and it's such a beautiful thing when I especially see it in other queer people, especially trans people, because you don't see it a lot in the media, especially like, for example, TV shows with queer people. So it's really important to start cultivating queer joy and bringing that to the forefront.
Yeah, I very much agree. I think it's so important, to remember that the work of liberation doesn't always have to be hard. Like there are some aspects that are really difficult, but having fun and focusing on what brings us happiness and what brings us joy is also a part of liberating ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, on that vein, is there any advice that you would have to give to like um, other queer folks, particularly like trans young folks who are creating and maybe having a difficult time focusing on queer joy, or just really any advice that you would give to queer young people in general?
It is, please keep focusing on your art. Keep focusing on what you want to do. Keep focusing on what you want to create. Um, Stay with your community, and always support them. And please take breaks from social media. That
Mm,
is true. People always say it, but it is truly important. Um, please take breaks from the media and immerse yourself in the what you want to do and the art that you want to see.
I love that. I'm gonna
Thank
have to
you.
take some of that advice for myself.
Thank you.
And is there any pieces of advice that someone has given you that really stick with you?
Oh, um, I would say anything that my jazz vocal teacher Mandy has said to me. She has I always thank her for everything that she has taught me because she has made me a better singer and a better person, honestly, because she's honestly the most kind and welcoming person you'll ever meet. So I would say I don't because I can't really think of like a specific thing somebody has said to me. And also from my mom is always be humble.
Always be humble. I love that. So I was just curious. I just have like a few more questions for you as we near a close, but I was curious if you wanted to talk about your journey with Dreams of Hope at all. I know that that you have worked with Dreams of Hope for a number of years now, before I joined staff of Dreams of Hope. And so I was wondering if you just wanted to share how you came to Dreams of Hope, your journey with us, and maybe a little bit about what being with Dreams of Hope has taught you.
Uh, I joined Dreams of Hope in late 2018, and I was still about 13 years old, which is really crazy to think about and say. Because Dreams of Hope, joining Dreams of Hope has been one of the best things I've ever done. Because Dreams of Hope is a part of how I discovered who I am with doing creating art with them and doing I remember doing a show called Chasing Elevation, which was a beautiful show that I got to be a part of in 2019, in May of 2019, and it was there's just a sense just a huge community that I had in theatrics of Dreams of Hope. So it has had a huge um, influence on my life and my identity. So thank you so much.
Yes, well, thank you, Isai. I think like one thing that's really important and easy to forget is that like you and the other young people are Dreams of Hope, right? Like we're the staff members who are like putting on the programming or whatever, but you're the heart of it. You know, we wouldn't be able to do it without you. So thank you for showing up and being a part of it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, my last kind of question to kind of wrap us up is how can people find you, find your work, and if you want to give like one last plug for the show and any other events that you may have coming up.
Oh yeah. So I'm on Instagram at esai.pgh.entertainment. That's where you can mainly find me. And the link to tickets for my show is in my bio. So yeah, I mainly only use Instagram. And I might create a another way to find me. I think that that'll be really important. So I'll be in the works of that. You can also find me on Sunday for the Fierce Queer Performing Arts Festival in Columbus, Ohio, um, and at my show Translation. And I would love for you all to come and hear my story, and I hope you all can take something away from it. Thank you so much.
Yes, so I will be there at Translation. It's July 15th, 8 p.m. at Gemini Children's Theater, which is in McKees Rocks. And obviously, Esai will be there. And hopefully, it is a full packed house with everyone there to support you, Esai, and to hear your story.
Thank you so much. This has been great.
All right, folks, that wraps up our interview with Esai talking about her artistry as well as her one woman show Translation that will be in town July 15th. Thank you so much for listening, and we really appreciate your support of Esai and any support that you may be able to give Dreams of Hope. You can follow Esai at esai.pgh.entertainment on Instagram. You can follow us on Instagram as well at Dreams of Hope _ Queer Youth Arts. We also have a Facebook and we have Twitter, and this will be uploaded on our YouTube. We also are accepting donations for our 20th year. Hashtag $20 for 20 years. But of course, any amount that anyone can give is a great amount. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope that you have a lovely day. All right, bye.